This is file 24-1568 SM. And Mrs. Kreischer, may I have your appearance, please?
I'm attorney Rebecca Kreischer, and I'm assigned counsel for Mr. McGrew.
Okay. And Mr. McGrew, can you hear us okay today? Sure, Mr. McGrew here today. Mrs. Kreischer, I don't have your client present.
For some reason, I had a check by his name. Did Mr. McGrew check in? Mr. McGrew?
Yes,
Yeah,
he was
so
the one I told you about
yeah.
earlier.
Put a check by name. He's here somewhere.
So Chad, do you have present on? You do. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Mr. McGrew, we are scheduled for sentencing today. Ms. Ochap just went to get the prosecuting attorney. We'll get started here in just one moment. Mrs. Kreischer, did you receive a copy of the victim impact statement for this matter?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Toaz, he's coming down. Okay, perfect. Okay, Mr. Toaz, good morning.
Good morning.
And we've just called the McGrew matter. And may I have your appearance for the record today?
Mark Toaz, people, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so in this case, Mr. McGrew, you entered a plea. This was a guilty plea to reckless use of a firearm. Mr. Toaz, before you had entered, I did indicate that I have received, excuse me, the victim impact statement. Obviously, it was filled out by Ms. McGrew, a number of different things outlined. And Mr. Toaz, I just wanted to confirm, is Ms. McGrew present today then, that you're aware of?
She's not here with us today,
Okay.
Your Honor, but she has been informed and she was made aware of today's date.
Okay, and did you receive any requests for restitution that you're aware of? I don't see
No, Your Honor.
monetary. Mr. McGrew, did you serve any time in jail for this offense?
One night.
One overnight?
Yes, sir.
Mr. McGrew, is there anything that you would like the court to consider today before sentencing in this case?
Yeah, I wish I could bring my family forward. Everybody that lives with us knows that this is based on a ton of lies. She's the only one with this story out of 5 people that live in my house. Yes, I'm guilty of firing my gun outside of the house, but this was an argument that's been escalating for over 3 months. She ended up on opioids for over a year because of different surgeries. It wasn't really her fault, but she got more and more hooked on these things. And over the past 6 months, she's completely
Your
changed.
Honor, if I may interrupt, this is not about the victim. This is about the defendant. I don't think disparaging the victim is adequate grounds for elocution.
Well, I was just saying that.
Mr. McGrew, you pled to the firearm offense,
Yes,
not
ma'am.
domestic violence. The
Yes, ma'am.
domestic violence was dismissed, so let's not
Okay.
address the domestic
All right.
violence.
Okay.
Because that was dismissed
All right.
as part of the offer.
Okay, so for purposes of the firearm matter, anything that you'd like the court to take into consideration on that?
No, sir.
Okay.
Guilty.
Mrs. Kreischer, any comments on behalf of your client?
My client has indicated that there is a PPO matter in circuit court, but that is separate from this court's jurisdiction. He has been staying with one of his children in the Lansing area. I have not been informed of violations of the no contact order in this particular case. We are asking for no jail, no probation in this matter based on the negotiated plea.
Mr. Torrance, any comments on behalf of the people today?
Your Honor, obviously, this is an ongoing situation and there's much more to it that's involved. And any of us that weren't at the scene will ever know, most likely. There wasn't a agreed upon plea. That being said, the plea agreement did not specifically reference probation. I would ask the court to consider a short term of probation at least, just to make sure that tensions don't flare up in the future. I think arrangements have been made. The PPO is there, but I think arrangements are being made for a permanent separation. But at the same time, you know how these things can go. If once the case is resolved, sometimes things can start boiling over again. So that would be my request in this one. Otherwise, just normal statutory fees and costs.
Okay. And due to the presumptive nature of the crime, are people seeking additional incarceration or probationary oversight term at this time?
Not seeking additional incarceration. Potential period of probation would be what we would be seeking.
Okay. And Mr. McGrew, are you currently engaged in any type of outpatient services right now?
No, sir.
Okay. Any other criminal charges pending against you right now?
No, sir.
And Mrs. Kreischer, what are your anticipated expenses?
$275.
Okay. And are you currently employed right now, Mr. McGrew?
I got a job interview tomorrow, but not right this second.
Now, Mr. McGrew, on the date of the incident, had you been using any type of alcohol, any type of controlled substances on that?
No,
evening?
sir, never.
So I guess the question I have, Mr. McGrew, is if this situation had been brewing, and again, I could probably listen to you for the next 20 minutes and you give your statement of the events. I could listen to Mr. Toaz and he could give the statement of the events provided by the other side. And, you know, certainly the people that were there are the ones that knew what happened. But I guess anytime that a firearm's introduced to a domestic situation really changes all of the circumstances. What was the reasoning for the inclusion of the firearms?
Somebody keeps dropping stray cats off on our property, and she feels like we have to adopt every cat that comes. We already got 7. And so we were arguing about the cats that people are dropping off. We've got so many animals, 6 different chicken coops, just cows, dogs, cats, everything you can name, rabbits we got. And so I told her, I was like, if we're not gonna get rid of the cats, I'm gonna scare them out of here. And so I walked out my front door, I walked out the back door, and then went to the front door and shot my gun into the dirt. And I'm guilty of shooting my gun into the dirt. The thing that I was doing was trying to scare the cats off that people kept dropping off there. We just couldn't afford it. I mean, we've got so many different things that we're trying to pay for that we can't keep adopting every animal in the world. And I mean, I know she loves animals. I love the animals, but we just can't afford that. And so we had been arguing about all of these extra animals for months before it escalated to this point.
But don't you think that the inclusion of the firearm during a domestic argument, if you intended to scare cats, don't you think that that would have scared members of your family as well?
It did scare her, yes, sir.
Okay.
But it wasn't intentionally to scare her. It was just to scare off the animals that people were dropping in our yard. And if you listen to the recording and you hear my kids saying stop over and over, they're telling her to stop because literally we were arguing for about an hour before she even started trying to record the thing. And so it just escalated and she started saying she would divorce me over the cats. And that's when I was mad enough to scare them off. And no cats were harmed. There was no cats even visible when I shot my gun into the ground. But yeah, of course it would scare anybody, I guess.
And
If I
Hi, guys.
had known it was illegal, I would have never done it.
Just do a quick minute here. Okay, all right, and the no contact order you had said, Mr. Toya, people would like that to remain in effect, even though there is a personal protection order already, in effect as well.
That's right, I mean,
Okay.
it would require probationary term to enforce it otherwise.
Right, all right. And the protected individual was, individual by the name, this is, first name was
Karen.
Karen. And I have that in our statement here from,
I was in the process of trying to leave Michigan, so I would hope that the probation wouldn't get in the way of that.
okay, Mr. McGrew, anytime a situation, can boil, you know, I see domestic violence as everything from yelling to death and everything in between.
Yes.
And anytime, you know, I don't go based on the philosophy that there aren't two sides to each story. And I recognize that, you know, there may be strong points and weak points in the things that you state today. And there's, if I was talking to Karen, but
I just wish the witnesses could have came, you know, I wish the people that were standing right there could have came.
yeah, no, I mean, I get that, but I appreciate your acknowledgement that the introduction of a firearm into a very tense situation as it was, when you say you're trying to scare animals, you know, it's gonna scare anybody, because, you know, the people don't know what you're doing with that firearm and what you may have done any other time with a firearm isn't the same as that. When it's introduced into a tense situation, things can go very, very bad, very, very quickly. And so, I do feel that based on the circumstances, that probationary oversight is appropriate. The court's going to, defer from the statutory presumption, order short-term of probation at 6 months. During this time, don't violate any criminal laws or leave the state. If you intend to relocate, just make sure you talk to the probation officer about that. We'll go through the proper procedure. If you change your address, your employment, or have any police contact, just let us know within 24 hours. You must continue working, and if you're not working, be seeking it. Don't use or possess any alcohol or controlled substances unless you have a valid prescription. The court is going to order that you complete the anger management assessment, follow any treatment recommendations. And what that is I just want to make sure that if there are any circumstances that we can address to help you deal with these situations, the same that I would hope, and I'm sure that Mr. Toez and victim advocate will speak with Karen McGrew and say if there are things, you know, that could assist her, that they'll advise her of her rights and the services that are available. It's my job, just because you're before me, is to advise you of the same. I feel that that this could benefit you, your family, and all involved moving forward. Follow any treatment recommendations, sign a release of information. You're subject to random drug and alcohol testing upon demand by law enforcement of the probation office. Fines and costs $450, attorney fees $150, restitution is $0. Oversight fees, $120. We'll talk about a payment arrangement. Don't engage in any assaultive, abusive, threatening, or intimidating behaviors. No contact order with Karen McGrew will remain in effect. Due to the significance of the issues, the court is ordering 90 days in the Gladwin County Jail. You're going to receive credit for 2 days that have served, leaving 88. The court is suspending 73. 15 days to be served in the county jail, this time to be held in abeyance. I'm giving some deference to Mr. Toez. He's asked the court to consider probation, but not impose initial incarceration. I'll hold this jail in abeyance for 60 days. If you remain compliant with treatment and probation terms, that jail time to be suspended. However, if there are any violations of the no contact order, or you're not doing the treatment or paying fines and costs, the court will order the 15 days to be served. But on the other hand, if you do everything you're supposed to, that jail will be suspended. As for the fines and costs, what type of payment arrangements are you seeking for that? If I order 50 a month, do you think you could comply with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Court order $50 per month. I'll order first payment within 21 days. And then whatever day you make that first payment, that'll be your payment date each month. My job, Mr. McGrew, just so you understand, I want to keep tensions at a minimum or none if possible.
Yes, sir.
And I believe that this intervention hopefully will help you, help Ms. McGrew, help the family, get you guys to where you need to be. It's intended to have some punishment, but also some rehabilitative effort to help everyone involved. Any questions?
Is the anger management something I could do online, or how does that work?
Yeah, probate, what I'm gonna have you do when you leave the courtroom is stop the clerk's office where you check in. They'll have you meet with probation and they'll go over all the options for that treatment for you.
Okay,
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you all very much for being here today.
thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you, everyone. Later.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca.
More about other stuff. This is. Please,